Well, there you go. You can see that boat hard at work through the frigid waters. We've been dealing with frozen pipes through many areas in southern Ontario, broken water mains. And who is braving the cold? Well, we'll join Kevin Yard. Thanks, Kevin. The thing is, we really shouldn't be battling this type of cold still. We should be sitting at 2 degrees in the city of Toronto. We are far from it, and that has many focused on spring. It is coming, and that's where we will give you the breakdown on how long these frigid conditions will last for you. Looking at your hourly forecast, so we are quite far from that high of 2 degrees. Looking back, or ahead rather, at Saturday afternoon, -6 in Toronto, -7 in St. Catharines, so a bit of an improvement, and we'll also be seeing some sunshine, so that will be quite nice. The wind chills, though, are still going to be evident, keeping us feeling like those negative double digits. Now, looking ahead, we do have a system that we're watching on Sunday. It could give us a little bit of light snow in southern Ontario, but the big one that we're watching is what comes later, your Tuesday evening commute. This Gulf low pushes in, and that could potentially really complicate things, especially when we look at our temperatures. In Toronto, you can see sitting at -2, but we could be dealing as temperatures fluctuate with periods of freezing rain, so make sure to keep a close eye on that forecast. Hamilton, enjoy the milder conditions as we head into the weekend. I use that term lightly. Krissy Vann joining you with another below seasonal day. These temperatures may have you crawling to the finish line of winter. Some good news, our spring outlook comes out Tuesday, 6 a.m. and then at 9 p.m. you get your full regional breakdown. So tune in because there could be some good news in store. Maybe not. One thing's for sure, it's still that time of year where you can get out and enjoy the winter activities. We join Mike Arsenault in Kitchener. I'd feel bad for you, Mike, if I didn't know how fun it is at Chicopee. I, for one, am a fan of the tubing there. Check it out. But if you do, the winter layers still required. No morning feeling like the -20s. Looking ahead to your weekend, a slight improvement. I mean, it's still well below seasonal. -6 in Toronto, -7 in St. Catharines. A mix of sun and cloud, though, so that at least gives you the essence of feeling a little bit warmer. But the wind chills still in the negative double digits through the afternoon. So we're not out of the woods yet. Our spring outlook, though, does come out Tuesday. So hopefully some good news for the season ahead. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Looking ahead, though, we do have a system Sunday that will be bringing a little light snow to southern Ontario. The big snowmaker, though, that is your Tuesday. Could really impact the Tuesday commute with this Gulf low, and that could be potentially be bringing some freezing rain your way. The below seasonal conditions continue, record-breaking temperatures, and this cold has been quite problematic this season with broken water mains, frozen pipes. We have many stories at theweathernetwork.com, but now we go to those braving the cold. Kevin Yard in Toronto. Thanks, Kevin. The frigid conditions continue today. We should be at 2 degrees. We'll be sitting at -11. So really the only thing you can do to stay warm is get active. We join Mike Arsenault in Kitchener. That segment would have ended not so nicely if I was the one on the skis. I'm more of a tuber, which you can do at Chicopee as well, but I'm even more of a spring lover. Spring just a couple weeks away, all the way through to tomorrow morning. So where are temperatures headed? Well, as you can see, quite cold this afternoon. I mentioned we should be at 2 degrees, but as we travel into the weekend, we start to get into those lighter purples, and we have been dealing with the cold conditions so much that, quite honestly, any victory, an increase in temperature is a victory. Looking ahead to the weekend, we are watching a system heading from our south. That's going to bring a couple of centimeters through your Sunday. The impactful system comes midweek on Tuesday evening. You really need to watch out and tune in here to get the details on your commute, because that big bulk of Gulf moisture, depending on the temperature, could bring freezing rain, mixing snow, and we'll be looking at temperatures just below freezing. Krissy Vann joining you on a day the frigid conditions continue. We have been dealing with record-breaking cold. Unfortunately, that's caused many problems with water main breaks, frozen pipes. Conditions like that sometimes have us forget about the joys of the season, but we join Mike Arsenault in Kitchener at Chicopee Ski Resort. There you go. Perfect way to warm up. I, for one, at Chicopee love the tubing there. That is sort of my winter sport. Just let them push me down the hill. It's the way to go. One thing's for sure, though, the layers are the way to go if you're outdoors. We join Kevin Yard in Toronto. Yeah, one thing's for sure, there are no spring fashions in that luggage, but the spring outlook, that comes out Tuesday at 6 a.m. And you may want to see that outlook when you see these temperatures. A little bit of good news. We have to take those little small increments in temperatures when we can get them, and that's what's going to be happening this weekend. It's still below seasonal. It's still in the frigid purples. It's just not as frigid. So we'll take what we can get. Looking ahead, though, just be mindful if you have travel plans on Sunday, we'll be picking up around 1 to 3 centimeters of snow. That's the preview for what's ahead. We start March off with this big bulk of Gulf moisture Tuesday, your Tuesday evening commute. You need to take your app along. You need to follow along here because your temperature around -2. We could be looking at periods of freezing rain, periods of mixing, and then behind that system, a big swath of another injection of very cold air. So we could be looking at very icy conditions on the roads. So enjoy then your -7, -5 on the weekend because we'll be cold for some time. Thanks for that, Kim. And we're wrapping up February and well on track for the coldest February since record keeping began at Pearson in 1937. I'm sure that has many of you thinking spring, myself included, our spring outlook. Place your bets. You can tweet me at Krissy Vann. Let me know how you think the spring will shape up. One thing I can guarantee you, another cold day today in Toronto. -20s right in through the morning. You should be sitting at 2 degrees. And as you can see from this temperature map, staying in the purples. So you really just edge up to the minus teens. As we head in toward the weekend, we have a minor improvement in temperatures, but still below seasonal for you. We also have a system moving in. Sunday, if you have travel plans, we're looking at 1 to 3 centimeters moving through the region. That could complicate travel plans. But the big travel issue is going to be Tuesday evening's commute, where all this Gulf moisture moves in. And the big trick with this system, and we're watching carefully, are the temperatures, because Tuesday you can see sitting at -2 in Toronto. We could be looking at periods of freezing rain, mixing, just a mess out on the roads no matter how you cut it. Looking at temperatures this weekend, though, you can see -7 and sunshine Saturday, -5 Sunday, and seeing a little bit of that snowfall in Hamilton.
Cheryl Plouffe and Krissy Vann with you. The developing stories this hour, getting some relief at last across the country. It's not so busy of a pattern right now. What clear skies may show, and also 2 storms revving up for eastern Canada. Looks definitely been a cold winter, no question. Let's get an update, though, in western Canada. You know, Calgary has cooled down significantly. Here's Deb.
Thanks for that, Deb. So that's exactly it. As we head into this weekend, we're going to see temperatures moderate a little bit through Alberta before that cold purple that just seems to continue plaguing the east, not letting up.
The Aurora Borealis, right? It's such a beautiful sight. And, of course, across northern Canada, you can often see them.
And it was on a day they weren't supposed to go that they did. But when it started, they had to stop the bus where it was happening, and it was where they were drying out all the fish. So the senses were confused with beauty and then not so nice.
Right. A little mixture of both there. Well, I'm glad that you got to see it because not everyone can, right?
Sure.
And people come from far and wide to see our Aurora Borealis for sure. Looking at the cloud tops, we do have, it's been snowing in Dallas, Texas, of note. And then also the showers now have moved away from southwest BC. They're more so down into the Puget Sound and through Seattle right now in Bellingham. But the Northern Lights forecast, no totals of actually snow on the ground as of the 26th. So lots of snow there.
Yeah, really important if you are on the roads, be sure to watch yourself around the corners as we have another system on the way, bringing more snow. Atlantic Canada may have a big system by next Wednesday. Thanks for that, Nate. An interesting report, and of course, many more at theweathernetwork.com. Krissy Vann joining you, and as you can see, quite the chill this evening. Frigid wind chills across the board, feeling like -21 in Charlottetown, -15 in St. John. So will there be a reprieve? Well, as we headed through this weekend, you'll still see the flood of purples moving through. It's not until we head toward the weekend that we start to see a little bit of the milder weather edge its way in, but it's still going to be below seasonal for the most part. For me, I'm more of a winter tuber. It never ends well if I'm doing a snowboard or ski event, unfortunately. I also find these temperatures a bit of a struggle at this point, feeling like -19 in Thunder Bay, -22 in Collingwood, -20 in Toronto this evening. So the parkas not getting packed away anytime soon. Now let's talk systems, as things quite quiet right now, unless you're in Western Newfoundland dealing with sea-effect snow. Heading into Sunday in Ontario, we're going to see a system move in, bringing 1 to 3 centimeters centimeters to southern Ontario, pushes into Atlantic Canada, bringing generally less than 5. This is the big one, though, this Gulf moisture moving into Ontario that will bring some heavy snowfall, and that's the next snowmaker it's looking like for Wednesday and Thursday in Atlantic Canada. The big concern, though, as it makes its way in Ontario, I do want to mention that we are going to be dealing with possibly periods of freezing rain, some mixing, so keep a close eye at your Weather Network app for the forecast as we get closer to midweek. Looking this afternoon, temperatures across the prairies still remaining frigid. Saskatoon feeling like -20, Winnipeg feeling like -19. The good news is that you are going to be relatively quiet. We travel further west where above seasonal temperatures have really been the story. All that rain that you were seeing in the south coast, that's moved on out. We have sunshine now in place, 9 degrees in Victoria, 11 in Vancouver. But what do you see as we head into Alberta? Well, -8 in Calgary, -12 in Edmonton. Yes, you've had about 60% of days in February in Calgary. You've been above the freezing mark, so you can't complain about the cold. The good news is that cold not sticking around. By the weekend, you'll get a bit of a reprieve. We are dealing with some higher elevation snow today through BC, as well in the Rockies in Alberta. That's all because of some orographic lifting, not going to be highly impactful, generally 2 to 5 centimeters for you. Looking across the country, as I say, for Saturday, relatively quiet, but we are watching these systems that will impact the east.
Luckily, no one was harmed and the llama drama was over once they were caught.
Oh, llama drama. That is a tough act to follow, but luckily we have plenty to talk about in our developing stories. Or I know this season has been a bit challenging for some runs just with the temperature fluctuations. We do have a bit of high elevation snow on the way, about 2 to 5 centimeters, all due to orographic lifting. But where we head now is Lake Louise to find out what's brewing. Thanks for that, Deb. And of course, in Ontario, we've been dealing with frigid conditions and quite a bit of snow on the ground as well in the white areas that have already seen over 30 centimeters. Who's having fun in the snow? Well, that's Mike Arsenault. I dare Mike to take me out skiing and see if my skills improve. I think I'm a bit of a lost cause. Plenty of snow to have fun with, though, if you're in the Maritimes. 126 centimeters on the ground in Charlottetown. Do be cautious, though, if you are coming around corners because some of those drifts incredibly high. And with all that snow, you may be going a little bit stir crazy for spring. Well, our spring outlook comes this Tuesday, 6 a.m. Eastern. You tune in, you get a national overview of what's to come, and then at 9 p.m. Eastern, that is when you will get your regional breakdown. Looking across the country through the weekend, you can see relatively calm on Saturday, just a little bit of snow popping up in northern Alberta, but we're watching these two systems that are stateside. The first system impacts Ontario on Sunday, bringing 1 to 3 centimeters before it continues to push east on Sunday, on Monday rather, and that's going to be moving into Atlantic Canada, bringing less than 5. The big system to watch, though, is all this Gulf moisture. The Colorado low moves into Ontario on Tuesday. We could be looking at periods of freezing rain, mixing, so keep a close eye on your forecast as that will be impacting things in Atlantic Canada later on in the week. Pretty unbelievable story there, and we have more on this at theweathernetwork.com. And you can see a little bit of overcast sky. We are going to be dealing with some orographic lifting, bringing us some high elevation snowfall, generally 2 to 5 centimeters. We join Deb Midiechka. She's been en route to Lake Louise. Thanks, Deb. Yes, it's that time of year, the big ebb and flow. And as you can see on the temperature map here, as we head through this afternoon, yes, staying quite chilly in Alberta, the prairies, but it does rebound as you head into Sunday to above seasonal. Where it has been frigid, though, is Ontario. That's where we join Mike Arsenault. Great, Nate. Thanks for keeping an eye on that for us. Well, looking ahead, yes, as Nate mentioned, no storm for the weekend, but we do have two systems that we are watching come out of the United States. So this first low will impact Ontario on Sunday, bringing 1 to 3 centimeters, then moves out to Atlantic Canada. And then that big low that you saw push through, that will impact things in Ontario on Tuesday. Could bring periods of freezing rain and mixing, moves out to Atlantic Canada, could be your big weather maker Wednesday into Thursday. Temperature-wise, you can see still below seasonal in the city of Toronto, and watch out Halifax, that system comes for you Wednesday.